B-52 bombers arriving in Qatar in response to worsening threats by Iran. We're told other B-52s also have landed at undisclosed locations in Southwest Asia. Meanwhile, the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group and a bomber task force have passed through the Suez Canal as they move closer to station in the Persian Gulf. The Pentagon also sending the USS Arlington warship, a Patriot surface-to-air missile, to join the USS Lincoln Strike Force. Joining us tonight, retired four-star general, Fox Business chief strategic analyst, General Jack Keane. General, good to see you. This is an interesting situation in which we don't have a clear picture of what the threat is, yet these are significant moves to certainly reinforce our presence in the Persian Gulf region.
Yeah, absolutely, Lou. I mean, clearly the fact that the Pentagon has gone out of its way to make these moves so public, to show videos of a carrier strike group going through the Suez Canal, not normally done, and then announcing every move that we're making. What that tells you is, one, they do have credible intelligence, as they have reported to us, and two, they're trying to deter Iran from taking the action the Pentagon believes it's aware of. And that's what the public moves are about. And hopefully that works. I mean, look at Lou, this administration has taken the toughest stand on Iran since it came into power in 1980. That's 39 years. Democratic and Republican administrations have refused to confront the Iranians' use of proxies to gain dominance in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And where are they? Lebanon, Syria, encroaching Israel, undermining Bahrain, have greater political influence in Iraq than the United States have, a civil war and topple the regime in Yemen. So they are about malign behavior and sponsoring terrorism around the world. And the other thing, Lou, is when Obama administration began the JCPOA, or the so-called nuke deal, we put on the table their malign behavior as a condition for the discussions. And the Iranians said, we will not talk unless you take all of that off the table.
Mm-hmm. And did.
This is, and we did. And John Kerry did exactly that. And what this administration has done is says, back on the table is your malign behavior, your dominance of the Middle East. That is issue number one. And President Trump does want to talk to them. But he'll only going to talk to them under the conditions that this Trump team has established.
What is your sense of the threat that they are posing right now to the United States, to U.S. interests, to the interests of our allies, whether that threat is in the form of malign behavior or intent from proxies, from whomever it may be, sponsored by Iran?
Yeah, they want to dominate and control the region of the Middle East, and they've had a fair amount of success in achieving that, as for the reasons I said, because no one's ever confronted them, and they clearly want to encroach on the security and sovereignty of Israel. They have got, Lou, in Lebanon, 130,000 rockets and missiles, all from Iran in Lebanon. One reason only, to fire those on Israel. They've got tens of thousands in Gaza.
I have a question.
Hands of Hamas.
I have a question. Why in the world aren't those rockets, missiles, eliminated?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. Israel has struck those rockets and missiles, particularly they arrive at the Damascus airport. They've knocked out a warehouse right there at that international airport with those missiles when they tried to move them into Syria. Israel's conducted over 100 strikes, Lou, in the last year and a half to 2 years inside Syria against Iran, trying to establish bases or bring military capability that would encroach on Israel.
And how much of this is a signal that is sending in the strike group, bolstering it with the bomber task forces, additional ships? How much of this is a signal also to our allies in Europe about where we're headed, what we will expect in the way of cooperation when it comes to the threat posed by Iran?
Well, I think anytime you're showing resolve against an adversary, it has ramifications around the world. Just as we have seen in the previous administration, we showed so much incredible weakness in backing away from our adversaries that they've been emboldened, and that's one of the reasons why we have so many problems that we're challenged with by today. And I think that the threat that Iran is presenting that has not been revealed to us in specificity deals with likely U.S. bases and facilities that are in the region and Iran can access readily with drones or with rockets or with PT boats, etc. And I think the intelligence is probably pretty good.
And very quickly, were you pleased to see a Minuteman missile launch within 10 minutes of North Korea, a Trident missile fired from one of our submarines traveling some 7,000 miles? What was your reaction when you saw that there was a response now to North Korea's nonsense?
Well, it was stunning in terms of the coincidence. And the two long-range missiles, one land-based, as you suggested, another submerged submarine flying incredible distances. Those are top-of-the-line capabilities that the United States has, and they were certainly seen by the world and noted by our adversaries once again as a reminder of what we really have in our arsenal.
Perhaps China was even paying attention. Who knows?
No, you betcha, Lou.